Hi, Ricardo. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, what up?
Welcome, Cuyahoga Bites.
Oh,
Oh, I already
the
see what I
spread
want.
just gets stronger
Hold
and
up.
stronger. Yeah.
Hold up.
All of it, or yeah. No,
We expect clear plates, if that's okay with you guys.
Nice. Yeah.
We'll go for a 10K after this, if that's all right.
Gotta get our steps in, you know. Yeah.
All right.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, really good. So this is our sweet treat edition, the April edition of Cuyahoga Bites. And what we've got on our plate is we've got croissants from Jours, which is out in Lyndhurst. So good. We have flan from Cafe Roig in Central Via 25. I'm going to skip these for Ricardo to say in a moment from Los Vias. We have Kelsey Elizabeth macarons, and then we've got a Presti's cannoli.
From Los.
Ricardo.
And yeah, from Las Villas Bakeries, we have quesitos, tornillos, and then pastelillo de guayaba, so it's guava. Guava, yeah, that's true. So kind of some more traditional Puerto Rican stuff.
Yeah.
What's inside this?
This one's cream cheese. This one's cream cheese, and this one's a kind of cream custard.
Okay.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
So good, right?
All the sugar you can eat
No,
on.
you're right. From Las Villas?
These three, yep. Las
yeah.
Villas, and this one's Cafe Roig.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
nice little mix, east and west. Try to spread it around. So we figured we'd save the sweet stuff for you.
I mean, I love sweet stuff. I'm a junkie. If there's sweet stuff near me, I'm gonna have it.
Nice.
I always tell my husband I'd rather eat my calories than drink them. He goes for like a post-dinner beer or
Yeah.
bourbon.
Yeah.
I would like a post-dinner plate of sweets.
Something. Yeah.
Yes.
My children know if they don't see me, I'm probably in the pantry sneaking food, like candy or sweets or cookies. And they're like, all right, where's Daddy?
Yeah, what's going on?
He's sneaking cookies after dinner.
That's great.
Let's introduce you, Jeff. What's
Yeah.
your full name, title? Where are you from?
Full name, we'll
Full
give part of
name.
it. We'll go Jeffrey
Government
T.
name.
Verespej. That's what we'll go with. I'm the market manager for community development for PNC Bank for Northern and Central Ohio. So that's everything from Toledo through the Firelands, all the way out to Youngstown, down through Columbus.
What does that mean? You're the market manager for community relations.
That's actually such a great question because it's different. It's different everywhere. PNC, I discovered because I'm pretty new at the bank, has a very localized approach. So we're a national coast-to-coast bank, but we take a very localized approach to community development and local leadership. So we kind of mirror the regional president with the community development team, and so we have lenders, community engagement staff, a community center, the Fairfax Connection over on Carnegie, that are out in our neighborhoods where we all live, where we're all working, bringing lending products, mobile banking, financial wellness, education, community service, grant sponsorship, kind of the whole package, not just kind of something off the shelf. So we're really localized, which is what I like, because the people on my team, the people that work across community development, are the people who grew up in these neighborhoods, who live in these neighborhoods. It's not just some distant transaction. It's pretty personal for all of us.
Totally off the script, but is there a passion point for the PNC community relations team? Is there something that's just something you come back to, a value that drives you to improve Cuyahoga County communities?
Yeah, no, community development at PNC is honestly and truly about affordable housing and economic opportunity. Those are the planks that we believe that when folks have stable housing, when they have secure housing, when they have a home that they know they can go home to every day, every month, every year, and that house is going to increase their family stability and increase their access to wealth and access to opportunity. And when folks get access to economic opportunity through better paying jobs and through workforce pathways and through, frankly and honestly, the banking system, we think their lives are going to improve. And community development is a mission-driven bank within the larger entity. And I see that every day. Even though I'm new, I've been impressed with the commitment across my colleagues.
And I would just add, kind of on top of that, that kind of hones in on the work that we do, which is amazing. But don't let the fancy suit fool you. Jeff came out of the CDC trenches, ran a community development corporation in town, one of the best CDCs in town, and then from there went on to work at the intermediary in town as well for a number of years. So has bona fide CDC community development experience. So
to be clear, I bought my suit when I was working there. Everyone thinks I bought the suits working in the bank. Banking's gotten casual over the years. But I do start wearing the puffer vest with the logo. I'm trying to fit in with my colleagues real nicely. Yeah, I'm trying my best.
That's awesome.
I want to hold on to what he said, but for you, I have a question for you regarding that. Let's dive in. What do you want to start
What do
with?
you want to start with? Do you want to go savory to start with the croissant? Keep it
So
simple?
you have a little bit more food knowledge than I do. What
Yeah.
would be your order recommendation?
Yeah, I'd say let's start with the croissant, and then we'll go into some of the Latino
Okay.
stuff, and then we'll round out
Yeah,
with the macaroons.
When you do a cheese board, you let me know. I can advise on how we work our way through a cheese board, but I'll let you take the lead here. So what's this place for the croissant?
This is Tous Jours in Lyndhurst. It's on Mayfield Road. It's probably been around for, I don't know, a year. It's locally, yeah. It's I think it used to be a garage. I might be making that up, but I think it used to be a garage because of the way there's like this big
Buttery, yeah.
That's so good.
There's this big like it almost looks like an old garage door in the front. It just might be a lot of windows, but essentially it's this French cafe. There are tons of croissants filled with anything you can imagine, including like cheese and pepperoni. I think you like the hot dog one. There's just a variety of things. They make
sweet hot dog in the croissant. It's the weirdest thing, but it's so good.
But it's so good. They make breads. They have like this milk bread that I use for French toast. It's really good. So this is just on Mayfield Road.
Yeah, I love it. It's like, especially if it's like an old garage. You know this. I know this. Like entrepreneurs walk into something that most people drive by every day, and like most people drive by and they see a problem. Entrepreneurs, even folks like the land bank, we go by a building that everyone else sees a problem and say, you know what, that might be the next great French bakery.
There's an opportunity.
Or even like, Central Via. Like it's the same thing. That's a building that for decades.
It's just sat.
Community members walked by and complained it's vacant, it's got a problem, and it takes a little bit of a vision, takes a lot of vision, takes a lot of time, takes a lot of patience, takes capital, takes organizations like the land bank. And that's how these things get done. So I love that like is a cool project. I'd love to learn more about that one.
It's beautiful. Stop by it or which side of town are you from?
So I do live on the west side. I live in the Cleveland's Edgewater neighborhood.
Okay.
But I cross over to the east side.
The other side of the world.
Yeah, no, fairly often. Like obviously, I used to work at Neighborhood Progress, which is over in Buckeye Shaker, right? And I lived in Universe Circle in Little Italy for 6 years. So I feel like that gives me a fair amount of crossover.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good area too.
Yeah, I made the trek a couple of years ago, to the east side, and my family's like, "Whoa, man, you're not on the other side of the world." But it is cool to see that like the culinary options are expanding kind of across the region. It's cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, we are, I think we all know this, and anyone who's watching, I'm sure knows this. We are a deeply underrated food town.
Yeah.
Maybe we're properly rated because we are starting to brag about that, but, folks who have never been here don't know.
We're starting to get on the map.
Yeah.
I feel like we were because of the whole Michael Simon thing and like in the probably mid-late teens of the 2000s. And then I think, it kind of dipped with COVID because everybody kind of retracted a little bit. And I feel like it's like coming back strong.
Yeah. It's hard to be a restaurateur. It's hard to be a chef. It's a tough business to be in, long hours.
What's your favorite restaurant?
Well, I'm going to start, I'm going to go with an homage, actually. I'm going Juneberry Table.
So
First of all, Karen Small stuff is tremendous.
Yeah.
And also, my wife and I got married at Flying Fig. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, so the Flying Fig has a real deep history for me.
That's amazing.
The sign is actually on my back porch.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And so, honestly, probably anywhere that Karen Small is going to open, I'm going to say that. I could then list all kinds of are we talking about like 6 a.m. breakfast? Are we talking late night happy?
What pops to mind? Anything. Just name like 3 restaurants that you're like, I like going there.
Rowley is jumps off the lat because no one expects it.
Weekend brunch.
Yeah, no one expects it. It's an old third shift place, so you got to love that. I will go Juneberry for like the fanciness, and then I'm going to pick. I'm going to cross town actually and go with. I'm blanking on the name. Formerly L'Arbitro. L'Arbitro.
Yeah.
I think Zach Burrell's like. Did you ever work for Zach Burrell?
I didn't work for him, but I've worked in fine dining.
Okay. Yeah.
I started my life in fine
for some
dining,
reason, I thought you had done a little stint with him. His commitment to excellent service. Every time you go in, you're going to get the same service. You're going to get the same level. You have a little sip of water and someone comes and fills it up. That was first place in Cleveland that had the cheese cart.
Yeah.
Not just a cheese board, but the whole fromage.
And the way they present it, that like they cut it off and they give you like a little piece of it and tell you the history of it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and kind of set in amongst everything else that's happening in Universe Circle is this like little. Yeah, I dig that.
Good.
Yeah, those
All right.
just jump to mind.
All right, tell us, both of you, what partnership and collaboration looks like to you personally, to your organization, and what you look for in a partner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll jump in. I would say partnership and collaboration in community development and economic development in general, but especially here at the Land Bank. I mean, it drives everything that we do. The reality is that like not one entity can solve the issues that we're seeing in our community. The reality is, we have a challenging economy. historically disinvested neighborhoods that have kind of their own issues that they need to surmount. And so one entity like the land bank alone wouldn't be able to solve these issues. So it takes our collaboration with grassroots nonprofits, with the community development corporations, with business community, with the banking community, all of us coming together, identifying these issues, and then working strategically together to come up with solutions. I mean, that's really the way I look at the work. I don't think anyone can really do this work in a vacuum, regardless of how many resources you have. And so that's kind of the way I look at it. And I know earlier in the series, we talked about kind of where we're going as an organization, as we're going through our strategic planning process. That's really what we're hoping to hone in on this year, especially of what types of new relationships can we build upon, what relationships can we expand upon, and how do we keep bringing more opportunities to the table for our entire region, taking a really regional approach to the work that we do.
I want to come back to this question for you, Jeff, but we talked also in a previous episode about how we've diversified our revenue. Can you talk about how that stemmed from valuable partnerships? Because we were so reliant on 2 or 3 sources for so long. And what have we done in partnership to expand that?
Absolutely. Those partnerships are a lot of how we got to be able to kind of chase new opportunities and get new funding at the table. We started realizing, okay, some of those bigger pots of funding for the demolition and others have largely been stable and allowed us to do the great work that we do. But we knew that at some point we had to really show the development community, particularly here in town, but also down, in Columbus at the state level, of where we can leverage resources. So that idea of, how can you make 1 + 1 = 4, and collectively bring all of our talent to the table. And that's what has really driven that revenue growth for us. As we've diversified, we're bringing new partners to the table, or partners are inviting us to the table for the first time. I think in a previous segment we touched on the kind of our partnerships with municipalities, right? We've always worked with government, of course, because we're quasi-government, but in the last few years, municipalities have really looked at the land bank as almost an extension of their teams. All right, well, how can we bring the land bank in and do that neighborhood scale development, do that corridor development, and bring, this maybe sleepy corner of their community back to life and to the forefront. And so that's been kind of like a driver for us, where again, it's if we aren't partnering and we're not working together, then I don't think we're effectively living out our mission.
Yeah, you also think about how this stuff shows up in our daily life, right? I know I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for folks collaborating with me personally, right? Ricardo was kind enough to talk about my work at a CDC, and then Neighborhood Progress. He didn't share that we were neighbors. We were north-south neighbors on the West 25th Street Pearl Road corridor. His work in Clark Fulton, my work in Old Brooklyn, kind of merged up in Brooklyn Center, and that personal collaboration and that desire to be honest and vulnerable about, all right, this is where I'm killing it, and here's the place where I need a little help. That is everything. And I think that level of honesty is really, really important for partnership. You mentioned it, no organization can do it by themselves. Every sector has their role to play. The bank has a role to play, right? We can bring capital in a variety of complex ways to solve a problem. We are not going to be the ones swinging hammers. We are not going to be the ones managing environmental remediation. We're not going to be the ones that are the trusted voice on the ground in terms of a community master plan. Mm-hmm. We want to support all that work because then our work is for nothing if not for that. But we have our role, but we know that our role is only one part of the pie. Speaking of pie, can we?
Yeah. Let's jump into some fun.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
I just
started with savory, going right into sugar.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how we approach it, and that's not just externally, but it's also internally because we in community development have what we can bring to the table, which is financial wellness, the resources at the Fairfax Connection, all of our lending, our grants, our sponsorship. But we also know that there are other folks at the bank, like our mobile branch, that can do things that I cannot. Our team is not licensed to help you open up a checking account, open up a savings account, figure out what sort of credit cards you might need for your family. Our team is not the ones who can, get you a mortgage, right? And so it's a whole bank approach, even internally with those partnerships. Mm-hmm.
And what I would add there, I think it's exciting as someone, having someone like Jeff, at a regional institution like PNC, he can bring an experience from other markets, other communities, and say, hey, they really figured this out in this location, we haven't really been able to figure this out here. Why don't we try it? Why don't we see what happens? And so I think that expanding on that partnership is also like learning from other folks. It's learning from their mistakes, learning from what worked for them. Or the same way for us is if we tried something and it failed for a good reason, we can share that learning with someone else so they don't end up in the same situation. And we can all learn from each other, and that kind of informational like exchange is what I think will ultimately make our industry significantly better.
Have you gotten into the flan yet?
Not yet.
I mean, it is tremendous. So great call on that. I know, right?
You can't go wrong.
I want to.
Oh my goodness.
I want to jump off what you said there about learning from other communities, because I think a lot of us, and I'll admit, I'm one of the biggest like folks who have probably failed our city and our region in this way. Is I was born in the old Brooklyn neighborhood. I've lived my entire adult life in Cleveland proper. I will never not live in Cleveland proper. I have a pretty strong bias towards things that look towards that lake and the 77 square miles and the 144 square mile, 400 square miles in the county, something like that. I have a strong bias towards Cleveland. I think that's been a bit of it to a detriment. You said it earlier. Part of the land bank's growth and development is proving, yes, to the development community here in Cuyahoga County, but also to the rest of the state and to Columbus that we can produce.
Yep.
And those relationships are really valuable.
Yeah.
For a long time, everyone has the t-shirt Cleveland against the world, right?
Yeah.
And that's a point of pride. Like we've been down and out, we've been kicked down and we've been laughed at, and it still happens, unfortunately, too often. And so because of that, we've turned insular. I like being part of a national bank and having these other parts of Ohio that I get the fortune to serve is learning in that way. And so also a little bit being an apostle for Cleveland, an apostle for Cuyahoga County, but then learning and being humble enough to know that, yes, others are doing it better than we are in some ways, and there are other areas in which we should be more proud of what we're doing because we're doing it better. And I think the land bank is actually a really good example of that, of an asset that is both a world-class example that other parts of Ohio would love to have, but also, as you've shifted your business model, there are other land banks that are doing that too, right? And I know you learn from them and they learn from you, and that partnership is very real, because the issues of Franklin County and the issues of Hamilton County come up here too. And so what I can do to bring those solutions back home is important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you. Do you want to keep going down the sweets path? Maybe try a quesito. And are you a fan of guava? Do you like guava?
I do. So one of my favorite bakeries I like to go in your old stomping grounds is Guali's.
Oh yeah.
I love Guali's. And I think I probably had this there, but.
Yeah. I mean, and again, you really can't go wrong from any of the traditional kind of Puerto Rican bakeries. We went with Las Villas. They've always been great, but Guali's is awesome as well. And the reality is, it's been kind of cool to see that there has been going back to the early '90s now, kind of a stronghold in the Latino bakeries in that Clark Fool and Stockyards neighborhood, our old stomping grounds. Now, similarly,
interesting, right?
Jeff Randall, Old Brooklyn CDC. Now, Old Brooklyn is the fastest growing Latino neighborhood in the city of Cleveland, and most of the new businesses that have opened have been Latino-owned businesses. So it's been cool to see kind of the migratory patterns of our communities. We've talked about this in a couple of the other episodes, and these ethnic enclaves that we have around town. How cool is it to see that these communities are growing and spreading and bringing new things, new food, new things to the table.
And as I'm sorry, Rachel.
No, and maintaining a sense of pride and inviting others in. There's both the idea of growing the stronghold of that ethnicity while inviting people in to enjoy it and be part of it.
Yeah, working in Old Brooklyn, there's your definition of a neighborhood that, for me, obviously this is when I grew up, but had so many kind of cultural institutions from other eras of Cleveland. And it was so thrilling for me when I'd open up a new, Guatemalan restaurant or a new Puerto Rican bakery, and all of a sudden we'd be blending the old school diner with the new school bakery, and seeing different customers experience that, and that grew their both swell of pride, both for what they had, but also all right, this is now my neighborhood too. And I love that.
Yeah. Talk about how the Land Bank and PNC plans to partner or is partnering, and what the outcome of that partnership will create.
Yeah, I'll jump in first. The reality is that we look for partners who have the ability to execute. I mean, that trust and the banking in of itself is a relationship, and that we know that, when we're going to deploy capital, we have every confidence that you're going to do what you say you're going to do and be able to return that capital. That's part of the contract, right? That's part of the banking contract, and it's actually a beautiful thing. We trust you with the funds of our bank, of our shareholders, and we know that you're going to go out and do good community work and then pour it back in. And so I think that is something that we look for in every organization that we want to collaborate with. The second is, where are we mission aligned? I'm fortunate that I work for a division of the bank that has a mission focus, right? That has a focus on affordability, that has a focus on access. And so we want folks who, this is what allows us as a division to frankly provide better financial services than other parts of the bank, is because it's mission focused. If somebody were to come to us, the Community Development Banking Division, and say, I want to do a project that has no affordability, no access, and is generally exclusive, I would say, I'm sorry, I can't write your loan. Right. We're just not going to do that. And so the land bank's longstanding commitment to affordability, I think, is central. And the other piece is that, I love that the land bank is a collaborative organization. In all the neighborhoods you're working in, you're not working in isolation. Right. And we know that we can then double down on that investment, and that we can show up through all the ways that a bank shows up, and support not just the land bank, but the other organizations you're working with.
Absolutely. And so why don't we jump into the powdered sugar stuff, and then I'll keep going with my answer. But I, want to make sure we get to the messy stuff first.
I'm still halfway through that.
But I echo everything Jeff said, and what I would add is, as the land bank, we've talked about this in an earlier segment as well, around where we're going or where we think we're going. And one of the things that we've identified here, as we're going through the strategic planning process, is that need for neighborhood scale development. The reality is that if for Cleveland proper, but also our county, to really help solve a lot of our housing issues, right? When we think about the lack of housing inventory, we have to be able to do development at scale. And I think we've been relatively good about it, and independently, a bunch of these organizations in town have been pretty good about it. But it feels like the right moment in time where a lot of us are coming together around this kind of unified goal of how do we create more home ownership opportunities, how do we solve this appraisal gap issue, and how do we invest in neighborhoods that have historically not seen investment at scale. And while we haven't we haven't fully figured out exactly how that's going to happen, the reality is that we need institutional partners who believe in us and can support us, can help open up new doors, maybe potentially bring new resources to the table to really help us meet that mission. Because I think we all agree that that scale is what's going to help finally kind of move Cleveland in the direction that we all believe it can go.
Because the affordability issue is complex, right? Access to housing is really complex. And so taking a broad neighborhood approach is going to take a bunch of different organizations. It's going to take capital, and it's going to take probably newer financing mechanisms that we haven't done before, because it's going to have to approach everything from how are we building more, how are we building more efficiently and effectively, how are we kind of moving from a scattered to a layered approach. And again, the fortune that I have of working across the bank's larger footprint is I'm seeing how some of these structures are put into place and learning so that we can then do that here.
Got it. All right. Do you want
to?
That one was the
not
winner?
just that, but so it's funny.
Pure
You're talking
sugar.
about, hey, we need partners that can do all these things. As I'm getting powdered sugar all over myself, and I was like, is that part of the like?
It's the appeal. It makes us real. There's an authenticity to that.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to dive into a macaron or the cannoli?
Yeah,
I can only imagine.
I'll go with macaron.
Are you guys going to be sugar buzzed after this?
Oh man.
Yeah.
So this is like my normal life.
Good for you, man.
It is-
Standard diet.
It is not. If Dr. Dornan watches this, I'm sorry in advance for for that, but he just has to deal with my overall health. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, I don't want to take up too much more time, but I know we need to get to that other plate.
Absolutely.
And I also want to ask if you could look down the road 5 years from now and see an improved county in your brain because of partnership, because of the work that we're all collaboratively doing together. What does that look like? What is that improved metric?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I look at it a couple different ways. I think one is increased inventory of housing of all types. We need affordable housing. We need workforce housing. We, as challenging as it may be for some folks to hear, we need market rate housing too. We need all different typologies, all different price points. So I think across the board, an increase in that inventory. That's number one, because that is what's going to allow us. Again, in a previous segment, we talked about this home ownership. The idea that wealth creation is kind of the driver of how people have a good quality of life. Well, we need to create that inventory collectively as a group. We need to create that inventory that allows folks to have that opportunity. So I think about it in the housing perspective. I think about it in the economic development perspective, really twofold. One is stronger, brighter, commercial corridors, right? We need neighborhood amenities, right? I think to the work that Jeff did at Old Brooklyn on the Pearl Corridor and really revitalizing a corridor, bringing it back to its heyday, and really being a central anchor for that community, where if you're in the Old Brooklyn neighborhood, there's a high likelihood you're spending your money in Old Brooklyn on Pearl Avenue. And that's huge. And all of our communities, for the most part, should have something like that, kind of going back to the roots of how communities were built and designed. And then beyond the commercial corridor piece, it's jobs. We need higher paying jobs. While we're just one element in that, the reality is that in order to get good jobs, in order to get businesses to come here, you have to have strong communities around them. And so we're just one piece of the puzzle, but our hope is that through collective partnerships, we can build stronger communities that then lead to more jobs and higher wages, so that folks can have a better quality of life. That's the way I look at it.
No, you can tell that we've spent some time together before, because I was going to say housing, economic opportunity, and job creation. So I'm summarizing that. But fortunately for me, two of those three things are within the purview of Community Development PNC Bank. It is access to more housing. You hit the nail on the head. And I think what ties those pieces together is that's what creates viable neighborhoods. Too many of our neighborhoods just holistically aren't competitive. And they are losing out to other parts of the region. They're losing out to other parts of the country because your neighborhood connects to your regional economy, which competes on a global scale. Tying those three things together in a collaborative strategy is what I'm excited about. Now, Ricardo said it before, I believe we're actually in a moment where I'm confident that 5 years from now, we're going to be a stronger county than we are today. I have full belief in that, in part because we already have a lot of the pieces in place, and we've shown great progress. We've shown good progress in La Villa Hispana. La Villa Hispana is an amazing cultural icon. It's a foundational element for a neighborhood. It is also a driver of economic activity, and that would not have happened if not leadership kind of putting those things in place. Now we can build off a lot of that work, and I wouldn't be doing this work if I felt that tomorrow was going to be a worse day than today. But I think part of your spirit in community development and affordable housing has to believe that, and I have a lot of confidence. So bet now on Cuyahoga County, because you won't be able to get in later.
One last question for you, Jeff, that we're asking everyone. Why is Cuyahoga County great?
So part of it is, I think, our deep history that ties into our future. When you are a county that is rooted in honest to goodness natural resources, in that big, beautiful lake, and in that wonderful river with a big port attached to it, you have legitimacy that never really goes away, right? Even when we as a region were in some of our more doldrum moments, we still had strength and economic power and institutions and people who cared to say this place really does matter. And I think, the Cuyahoga River is where the East Coast ends and the Midwest begins. And that kind of cultural and economic mishmash also, I think, is a bit of our secret sauce. As you come down from, the heights and you come down where the glaciers were seeded, 10,000 years ago? I don't know. You go through this economic, cultural, social change that reflects so much about America. And I've always felt that Cleveland and Cuyahoga County we're just like a little microcosm of the highs and the lows, and I will take that with me forever.
Yeah, we haven't tried the cannoli.
Do you guys want to break the cannoli in half and give it a go?
Yeah.
You're the host.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I lived in Little Italy. 2 years.
Can't go wrong with is this Corbos or Presti?
This one's Presti's.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with either. Oh, no.
We knew the break.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to happen. There,
Sometimes you got to break stuff to make stuff.
Look at that! Look, I was going with the pie reference before, and you're hitting the cannoli now. This is at Little Italy's another one of those neighborhoods that is both a blended on its historical tradition, but also is a place where we have new housing development, international students who attend Case Western Reserve University, multi-generational families. At the same time, they have pride in like this
Yeah,
commercial
the history,
corridor.
yeah.
Right? I want more of our neighborhoods to be like that.
That was amazing.
Good. Thank you guys. Thank you both. I'm so glad you were able to do this, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks for the conversation.
This was
Yeah,
a
thank
thrill.
you, man.
Thank you,
Appreciate
man.
it.
You can invite me anytime for this.